So here are the top 5 nutrient deficiencies that you see in thyroid disease. And look, number 3 is a big one. Number 3 is missed by many thyroid people. The deficiency of number 3 is actually on the rise in some places, and a deficiency in this third item can actually short circuit your whole endocrine system in relation to your thyroid function. So you're going to listen to that one and make sure you get enough of it. But the first deficiency that we're going to talk about that's super common in thyroid cases that really needs to be adjusted and optimized in every thyroid case has to do with the nutrient that manufactures a very important enzyme called thyroid peroxidase enzyme. TPO, thyroid peroxidase enzyme, is the enzyme that takes the amino acid L-tyrosine. Remember, amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Protein is made from amino acids, and we have all different kinds of amino acids. We have L-tyrosine and L-glutamine and L-alanine and all different types of amino acids, right? So thyroid peroxidase takes your iodine and takes your tyrosine and smushes them together to make your thyroid hormone. And thyroid peroxidase enzyme is what's called a heme-dependent enzyme, meaning you have to have iron to manufacture thyroid peroxidase enzyme. So in order for you to have thyroid peroxidase enzyme and make your thyroid hormone, you have to have enough iron in your diet. It doesn't matter if you took 1 billion jillion milligrams of iodine per day and another billion jillion milligrams of the amino acid L-tyrosine every single day. It wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter if you didn't have enough iron in your diet, because the iron is what's needed to make that enzyme, thyroid peroxidase. Thyroid peroxidase enzyme is what smushes the iodine and the tyrosine together to manufacture your thyroid hormone. So you can get iron from plant sources, of course, but the best source of iron for thyroid cases is actually what's called heme iron, which is iron that you'll find in animal sources. And one of the best animal sources of iron is, probably not going to like it, but it's organic, grass-fed, grass-finished liver. There's different farms here in America that are great to get that from, and New Zealand has amazing farms as well. Regardless, that is one of the most bioavailable forms of iron to make that thyroid peroxidase enzyme. Now, some of you might be thinking, wait, my thyroid peroxidase is elevated. Isn't that bad? My doctor said I had elevated TPO. You probably didn't have elevated TPO. You probably had elevated TPO-AB, which are thyroid peroxidase antibodies. In Hashimoto's disease, your thyroid peroxidase antibodies go up, meaning there's antibodies that get released that actually destroy that enzyme, thyroid peroxidase, and damage the thyroid tissue. So that's what you're probably thinking of. Regardless, to have a healthy functioning thyroid gland, you gotta have enough iron in your diet. One of the crazy things is iron deficiency anemia symptoms actually mimic hypothyroidism. Think about it. In iron deficiency anemia, you have fatigue. In thyroid cases, they get fatigue. In iron deficiency anemia, you get hair loss. In thyroid cases, we get hair loss. In iron deficiency anemia, you get brain fog. You get loss of concentration. You get loss of words where you can't word track properly. The brain is just not functioning well. In hypothyroidism, all the same symptoms. In iron deficiency anemia, your body temperature is cold. In hypothyroidism, your body temperature is colder, right? And one of the reasons why they mimic each other is because if you don't have enough iron, yes, you're going to become iron deficient anemic. But the other thing that's probably going to happen is you're not going to be able to manufacture enough thyroid peroxidase enzymes, so you can't manufacture optimal thyroid hormone 24/7. As a result, you'll have some of these symptoms from low iron, but also some of these symptoms just from an overly stressed thyroid. So iron is the number 1 deficiency that we're going to talk about today. But again, number 3, this is the one you really want to know about. Okay, this second deficiency helps what are called your deiodinase enzymes work properly. So T3 triiodothyronine has 3 iodine atoms. So T4 has 4 iodine atoms. T3 has 3 iodine atoms. There's a group of enzymes, there's 2 actually, deiodinase enzymes or D-iodine enzymes. What they do is they remove one of the enzymes from T4 to make it T3. Why is that so important? Well, it's because T3 is like 1,000,000,000 times more active in your body. Not really 1,000,000,000, but it's a lot more active in your body than T4. T4 does have some physiological function, but definitely not to the degree and to the significance that T3 is. So we have to convert our relatively inactive T4 to T3. And you need this. You need zinc in order to do that. Nutritional supplement wise, you're looking at zinc picolinate. That's a great form. Any type of chelated zinc is also really good. So in any good zinc supplement, you want to make sure that you have molybdenum in there. And the reason why, so that's a trace mineral, and the reason why is because zinc, it actually kicks copper out into your tissue, into your bloodstream. And that copper, when it comes out in large amounts, can actually become toxic to your body. Well, that trace mineral, molybdenum, actually helps to chelate or remove the copper from the body. So that's important. So you want to make sure your zinc supplement has molybdenum in it. Also has a good chelated form of zinc, is my favorite. Any type of chelated form of zinc is great. And you want to make sure there's a little bit of B6 in there. Those all help zinc operate more functionally in the body. There's some other co-nutrients that could be good too, but those three are definitely important. Now, zinc, again, is going to help in the conversion of T4 to T3. So zinc is really crucial. We got to make sure we got enough zinc. Zinc is number 2, but here's number 3. And this one is probably going to shock you because a deficiency in this is actually on the rise in some parts of the world. And what it is this vitamin actually helps you manufacture and activate properly your TSH. TSH stands for thyroid stimulating hormone. Remember, TSH is made up here in the brain. Well, really in your pituitary gland, which sits in the little cell turcica, the Turkish saddle in your brain. But that pituitary gland manufactures TSH. That TSH travels into your bloodstream to your thyroid and tells your thyroid to make thyroid hormone. Here's the deal. So the thing is, if that pituitary gland is not releasing enough thyroid stimulating hormone, well, guess what? You're not going to be able to make enough thyroid hormone because your thyroid is dependent on TSH. And in order to make and have function correctly thyroid stimulating hormone, you need a vitamin called vitamin A, which everyone thinks, oh, I get enough of vitamin A. Not a problem. Well, guess what? A lot of people don't. And it's not necessarily the plant form of vitamin A, meaning beta carotene is great. The carotenoids or carotenoids that we find in our plant food are great. They're super powerful antioxidants. They're awesome for us. However, they do have to go through a conversion process in the liver. And some people with thyroid problems, they also have sluggish livers. They kind of go hand in hand in a lot of thyroid cases. So in those cases, they might not be able to convert the beta carotene into the active form of vitamin A. Because remember, beta carotene is not an active form of vitamin A. It's a plant source form that needs to get converted into the active form. So the best form of vitamin A is retinol. That's the animal-based form of vitamin A, and that's the form that we want. Again, liver is a ridiculous source of vitamin A. Eggs are also a decent source of vitamin A, but liver is one of your best. And look, I'm not trying to turn everybody into liver eaters because I don't eat liver that often. But let me tell you something, it is a super nutritious food, and you only need to eat about 2 ounces, 2 to 3 ounces, sometimes even 1 to 2 ounces, 2 times a week. That's really all you need to do. So if you can get that in your diet, that's great. One of the things that I like to do is I actually buy blend. So I get ground liver, ground heart, and then your regular ground meat, maybe from elk or from venison or from buffalo or from cattle, right? And it's all grass fed. You want it to be organic. You want it to be grass finished, right? And you want it to be from a quality farm. And if you have all of that kind of mixed together, it really just tastes like a hamburger. So if you're okay with eating red meat, that's great. Now look, if you're not, that's okay too. I certainly lean towards a plant-based diet myself. I love plants. I love my greens, without a doubt. But I do also consume animal foods. I consume a lot of fish, and I do consume red meats periodically for sure. So there are benefits to that, without question. Certain red meats are so nutritionally dense, they could be considered a superfood. I know, it's blowing some of your minds, but it's really true. So, okay, so that is the third. We got 2 more to talk about. Okay, the fourth essential nutrient is probably one you all are very well aware of. This nutrient combines with L-tyrosine, the amino acid in the thyroid, to make your thyroid hormone, and that nutrient is iodine. It's essential. We do want to get about 150 to 200 micrograms at least of iodine in our diet a day if we have primary hypothyroidism. If you have Hashimoto's, you really want to keep your iodine intake low until you've healed your thyroid. Then you can add iodine. 10% of Hashimoto's cases do great with iodine, but the other 90% actually have an exacerbative effect when they take iodine. It worsens their autoimmune disease. People with Graves' disease or hyperthyroidism should avoid iodine altogether, like it was the plague, because it will plague your butt like nobody's business. It will turn your thyroid into mush. It can contribute to what's called a thyroid storm, which if any of you have experienced that, I am sorry, because it is devastating and it can really be life-threatening. So hyperthyroidism or Graves' disease, no iodine at all. However, primary hypothyroidism, you've got to get your iodine in, that is for sure. People that have primary hypothyroidism and don't quite get enough iodine in their diet, you're looking at possible goiter formation, you're looking at cysts, you're looking at nodules. Any of those things can come from not enough iodine. And the last one is probably the most vital nutrient. Actually, I will say it is the most vital nutrient, at least in my opinion, for every thyroid case out there. If you have Graves' disease, if you have hyperthyroidism, one and the same, if you are missing most of or even all of your thyroid gland, if you have primary hypothyroidism, whatever you have, you want this nutrient. Because what this nutrient does is it helps manufacture something called glutathione peroxidase. Why is that so important? Well, the deficiency is not glutathione peroxidase. It's the nutrient that helps glutathione peroxidase work right. Again, why is this a big deal? Well, the normal process, a normal physiological process in your thyroid causes the release of certain compounds called peroxides, like hydrogen peroxide. Hydrogen peroxide is actually destructive and inflammatory to tissues. So it's kind of like car exhaust, right? In the process of burning gasoline in a car, you have an exhaust, and that exhaust comes out the tailpipe. If you sat in your garage with your car running and the garage door closed, you would eventually pass out and die because you would inhale all the toxins from the tailpipe emission. Well, a similar thing is true in your thyroid. Your thyroid makes these peroxides, which are inflammatory and damaging to the thyroid gland. They can worsen Hashimoto's, they can worsen Graves' disease, they can worsen hyperthyroidism, they can worsen primary hypothyroidism. They are destructive to the thyroid, period. They're like the waste that's made in your gut. We have to have a way to eliminate them. And it's the enzyme glutathione peroxidase that eliminates that garbage that's made naturally in the thyroid, just as a byproduct. And what you need to have glutathione peroxidase function properly in your thyroid gland is you need the trace mineral selenium. And you need about 200 micrograms a day. So that is the fifth and probably most important deficiency. I recommend getting it from food. I love just 2 Brazil nuts a day. That handles it. If you want, you can use things like sardines, cod, eggs. Those are all good sources of selenium. But regardless, you've got to have enough selenium. So the 5 deficiencies, we got iron, we got zinc, we got vitamin A, we got iodine, and we got selenium. So you want to make sure those are optimized in your body. If you don't know if they're optimized, get a blood test done called a SpectraCell. SpectraCell is probably one of the best and most accurate ways to truly assess vitamin and mineral deficiency in the body. Traditional blood work is not really very valid. It doesn't tell you a whole lot. If that's all you have access to, again, it's not really going to give you the data that you need. SpectraCell is really what you need to assess full vitamin and mineral deficiency. So I hope that helps. I'll see you next time.